everybody, I am here with Diane Whiddon with Novel Website Design, and I love how you say you've been helping people shine online since 2006. And so I was curious if you could tell our audience a little bit more about who do you help shine and how do you help them shine?
Awesome. So mostly I work with solopreneurs. So they're entrepreneurs who it's usually just one, maybe two people in their businesses. So they're really, really small. They usually don't have a brick and mortar shop. So I work with a lot of life coaches and massage practitioners and people like that who it's just like them in their little business. And I help them shine online by creating a home for them to be more of who they are and do more of what they love. I want their website to feel like an extension of themselves. If they do have a brick and mortar shop, I want landing on the website to feel like walking in the door of their shop. And I want it to feel really easy and fun and sustainable for them to have a business and grow their business.
I know, being a solopreneur myself, that is so much work, just trying to keep up with my website, keep up with the emails, making a newsletter, making sure it looks pretty or that my copy is nice. So I'm so glad that there's people like you who exist.
Thank you.
So why is it that you chose these type of people and this type of way to help them? Kind of how did you fall into novel website design?
Oh, okay, cool. So, so I was in law school, and I didn't like it. You know, there was a lot that was fun about law school, but it's very analytical. There's not a lot of room for creativity that I experienced. And it's really competitive, and like just my whole like lovey-dovey, supportive, like cheerleader side just really couldn't come out. So, so I did that for 2 years, and I was good at it, but I hated it, and I could just see my whole life stretch out in front of me, like working in this beige law office, carrying this beige briefcase to my beige desk, and I just had to get out of that. So I quit law school, and I've always loved writing. So I kind of fancied myself a novelist, and romance novelists make a lot of money, which I wanted to do.
That's fantastic.
Right, I didn't want to be a starving novelist. So, so I set out to write romance novels, and
It seems like such a natural transition from law school.
I know, right?
I see that.
It worked for me. So, so I joined a bunch of writers groups, and I really worked on writing and trying to hone my craft. And it's really hard to write novels of any kind, romance or otherwise. And so I struggled with it, and this girl came in one day to one of the writers' meetings, and she goes, I just had somebody design a website for me. And this was like, so this is 10 years ago, right? So this is before unpublished novelists really needed websites. And she goes, I just had somebody build a website for me, and it was only $400. Isn't it great? And I looked at it, and I was like, no, that's horrible. This is the ugliest thing I have ever seen. So I kind of thought, well, I think I can do better than that. So I started doing it. I went home and I learned Publisher, which is what we were using at the time. And I learned Front Page, which I don't admit very often in public. And then I eventually taught myself Photoshop, and I taught myself HTML, and I started learning CSS. And before you knew it, like writers, like some, you know, so I did a couple for free, and then a couple people started paying me, and then a couple of writers organizations came to me, and before you knew it, I, you know, had this thriving little website business, and I was making more money doing that than I was writing unfinished romance novels. So,
oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I just decided to, you know, hang out a shingle, and like, this is what I do now. And then I just kind of fell into it. The more I devoted myself to it, the more I loved it. And when I got a divorce, it was like, okay, either this is a hobby and I go back to law school, which was not appealing, or I make this work. And I make this work as a way to really live and support myself. And so that's what I did.
It sounds like it was something that that you really loved, that you really enjoyed doing, that this thing that was just a project on the side was a growing passion. And whenever you were kind of faced with this either or type of moment, you chose to follow your passion. And
totally.
That's so powerful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's just how it was. It kind of felt like I just fell into it, but the more time I've spent with it, the more I've really loved it. And that's really the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur that I see, is that it doesn't have to look a certain way. The reason that I fell in love with it is that I created the business that I knew I would love. I created working for the clients who I knew I would love, doing the work that I knew I would love, and the work that I was passionate about. And my website design business doesn't look like anybody else's. That's how it's supposed to be. And so I think that that's beautiful, and that's one of the things I really try to create for my clients, is this feeling, this belief that what you want to create for you in your business, you absolutely can. There's no should, there's no right way. What you need to do, you can just kind of do for you. And if you do that naturally, you're going to fall more and more in love with it and get better at it.
I love that because I feel like so often we have these kind of cookie cutter molds that we grow up thinking that we're supposed to fit into. Like, I need to go to college, I need to study this degree, I need to get into this kind of field, and then I need to make this kind of money, and then I need to get married, and then I need to have 2.5 kids.
Yep, and the white picket fence.
Yeah, and so whenever we don't fit into that mold, so many people have struggled with that. And then, or you do start to fit into the mold and it just doesn't feel right.
Right.
So I just want to acknowledge you for breaking the mold and allowing a space for solopreneurs, for people like me, for tons of people watching, that this is, you allow them to come in and create the mold that actually fits them instead of trying to shove yourself into something that doesn't fit.
Totally.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
So you've been in novel website design for almost 10 years now. So you've seen the evolution of the internet over an huge amount of time. So I was curious about what is your perspective of the role of internet in our lives, as well as social media, because that's something in the last few years that has really been becoming a main thing in our daily life.
When I first started, years and years ago, when I still lived in Chicago, I joined an online group of entrepreneurs, and I just kind of happened into it. This woman started a little online forum, and it was all of us who were kind of doing our own little things and trying to get bigger and be successful, and we just all signed up there together. And what happened, it was right before my divorce, and that group kind of sustained me even through my divorce when I was like so lonely, and I would like kind of hole up in my cave. I'm really an introvert, doesn't seem like it, I really am. And like there was this serious community. We would all get online and we would talk to each other about our lives and our struggles with being in business, and our struggles with trying to make money and receive more, and our struggles with trying to define who we were. And it was this really intimate group, and I still feel like I have these really close friends who are in the UK and Canada and all over the world. And it's because of what the internet created.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and I see that happening even today, and I see it happening on a much bigger scale, because 10 years ago, if you were online, it seemed like it was just such a small group of us who were online in that kind of. But now, with social media, there's so many social media platforms, there's hundreds. People don't even really realize how many there are. People think of social media and they think of Facebook and Twitter and like Snapchat and Vine, and people don't realize, seriously, and people don't realize that like there's social media for every like individual profession. All these little like hobby groups and stuff have their own little platforms that they get online and talk to each other on. And it's amazing to me. It blows my mind that we can be so connected, not necessarily by proximity anymore, but by passion. That you can be connected to other people all over the globe according to what your values are and what's important to you. If you really care about clean water and delivering it to places that don't have clean water, there are a lot of places you can get involved. From the very little stages of just giving money on Kickstarter to actually getting involved in an organization in a very real way, to doing maybe some kind of grassroots movement that's affiliated with some international, it's amazing. Much less your quilting circle. You're not confined, you're not confined to the little quilting circle in your, church anymore. You can quilt with people who, live in Scotland, and, it's a cool thing. Share patterns and yarn. I don't know what quilters do.
I love that. I think when I think about the internet, it's like almost like a Swiss Army knife. It's my post office, it's my department stores. Today I did some yoga online, just like watching someone, so it's my gym.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, and I love what you said about kind of connectivity. It doesn't have to be just you sitting in a computer, kind of isolating yourself from the world. It can get you more involved with the world, and I find that beautiful.
Totally. Oh yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about one more thing too, because the really interesting thing about what it's done for business owners, and it's really obvious, is that 20 years ago, if you wanted to start a business, you pretty much needed a brick and mortar shop. Unless you wanted to hang up a flyer in the, little community bulletin board.
I've tried that, it doesn't work.
You're right, totally. So you kind of needed a brick and mortar shop. Well, that's tens of thousands of dollars, easy. Right off the bat. And now, you really can have a thriving business with just having an online presence. You just need a way to reach the people who are like you. And, a website, a Facebook group, getting involved in whatever communities are already created online is the perfect way to do that. And I think that's really beautiful. I think everybody has something to give. and something to offer. Not necessarily even give, but something to offer the world, something that's essential that the world needs, that the world can say, oh my gosh, yay, thank you, let us give you money for that knowledge and skill and expertise. And having a website is such a great way to do that and start that. So I love the internet.
So say, so if I was going to work with you and I had this idea of a business that I wanted to bring online, but maybe I'm not exactly sure of who it is that I'm targeting, so I don't know really what to make my website front page look like. Like, who do I want to walk into my storefront? Is that something that you could help me with, like whether it's clarity of vision or just knowledge of my demographic?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
What do you most want to do? What do you love the most about what you do? Well, that should fit like a puzzle piece with who you're here to serve.
Mm-hmm.
So who you're here to serve and what their pain is and what they need help with and what they need you for is going to fit exactly with what you really have to offer and what you love about yourself and what you're supremely good at. So we just figure out how to work that up in copy and kind of create a website that is aimed at them and attracts them and tells them that you're good at it.
When I think of how I've started as a solopreneur, I did a little bit of this, I did a little bit of that, I did a little bit of this, and maybe none of them were all that intertwined, but I'm heading in this direction. How do you keep somebody on path? How do you keep them going towards their vision, or even have a vision for that matter?
Oh, that's so cool. So, okay, so I have two answers to that question.
Okay.
So my first part is I would say that I would offer them some gentleness and some openness around that process. Because I think part of being an entrepreneur is trying a lot of different things and kind of seeing what works and what doesn't and creating some different products and creating some ideas and, oh my God, I've got this great idea for a workshop and why did nobody show up, you know? And kind of like that's the process. That's what it is. It's hit or miss. And for every time that you do something that's amazing and awesome and it hits and it sustains you and it really supports your demographic, you'll do 7 or 8 or 10 or 20 things that really miss the mark. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to go. So the first thing I would say is like, you know, do whatever feels good. Play around, do lots of stuff.
Forgive yourself.
Forgive yourself.
I like
do
that.
that a lot. Do that a lot. That's my number one rule for being an entrepreneur. But then, so the second piece of that is, so I kind of have this signature process that I've developed because I've been doing this for so long. And I call it Get Clear. And it's really about getting clear about what you love most about what you do and why. So like really what you're good at and what your values are around it, and what's really important to you. Because you can sit me down with 10 people who pretty much do the exact same thing really, really well. They're going to have 10 different reasons of why they love to do it. And that's mission critical. You really need to understand that about yourself because then you can understand the people that you're here to serve. You want to serve people who are like you. So, and then we work on, you know, who you're here to serve. We work on your who. What do they need? How fast do they need it? You know, how badly do they need it? You know, how can you deliver it to them? The how is a big piece too. We talk about how do you want to deliver it to them in a way that is sustainable. I'm very big on sustainability. There's no sense in creating a social media marketing plan for you that's a pain in the butt to fulfill because you're not going to do it. And if you're not going to do it, it's not going to serve your business. Right. So when we really understand who you are and what you love and who you really want to work with and who you can really help, then we can create a website and an online marketing plan that really works for you.
So when I hear you talk about this process of getting clear, I find that whenever I work with, as a holistic health practitioner, I get a lot of clients who maybe want to lose weight or maybe want to get rid of a skin irritation or headaches or such and such. But there's usually an underlying reason why they would like to remove this symptom. And so that's something that we kind of dig into. But I have found that a lot of people have a hard time finding what that why is. And so I'm curious from your perspective of someone who kind of helps entrepreneurs do this, if you are thinking about the everyday person, is it important for them to have a dream? And if it is important for them to have a dream, how do they develop it? How can they cultivate that picture so they know where they're going and why they're doing it?
I love this question. It's a wonderful question. So I think it's so important to have a dream. Even if you're not clear on it, and even if you have 10 dreams or just one or 150, I think it's so important to have a dream. The stuff that we really care about is also the stuff that we're really good at. And I think those two things really overlap. And so what I would say to somebody, if you're struggling, if you're like, I don't know what I'm passionate about, and I talk to people like that, they're like, particularly people who love the right way to do things, they come in and they're like, well, this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it's supposed to look.
I should lose weight.
Yes, I should lose weight. And I'm like, okay, so really, what do you want to do? What are you working with that's stopping you? Where's that thought? What are you thinking right before you have the thought, I should lose weight? Is it, I really want to be able to pick up my kids? Is it, I really want to be able to pick up my kids and hold them and play with them in the backyard? Is it really that I want to be able to travel? Is it really, like, what's the thought behind it? Is it really, I want to be able to wear the dress that I wore 10 years ago or whatever? Or is it just, I just want to like who I am right now? Let's focus on that. Let's focus on that piece, because when you can really dive into what you really want and what you really care about, then sustaining a dream is not so hard, and working towards the dream is not so hard. It's when we come at stuff from self-punishment. I'm not enough, so this is how it should look. I'm not okay, so this is the right way to do things. I want to do it the right way so nobody can laugh at me. That's when you start to get in a lot of trouble. That's when you're doing stuff that doesn't align with who you are.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like giving yourself permission to be you instead of to be somebody else is huge.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. So now what I'm curious about is, once you know what that goal is, if you know what that big dream is, how do you take action towards it when it seems like you could do anything, or that dream seems so far away, it's almost discouraging to think about trying to get there?
The really important piece, and this is actually an idea that I got from somebody called Lisa Hunter through a process called miracle launching, but it's this idea of removing the friction of the dream. So when you think about what you want, if it seems like, oh my gosh, I can never have that, Oprah's not going to call me, then let's take the Oprah piece out. Like, what are you really wanting? Like, do you have to have Oprah call you? Like, probably not. Probably not. You can probably find happiness and fulfillment in your life if Oprah never knows your name. So what are you really after? What's the feeling that you're going towards? And that's what it always comes back to for me, is really, what's the feeling that you're going towards? What's the desire piece? What do you really want? And so if you really want to feel legitimized, like if that's why you want Oprah to call you, you want to feel legitimized, you want somebody to say, I'm proud of you. That was a big thing for me for years. I wanted anybody to say, hey, I'm proud of you, because that's not something we say, right? That's not something we say or hear very often as adults. So whatever it is that you want, like, focus on that. Don't get too attached to what it's supposed to look like. Focus on how you want to feel. And then think about the action steps that you want to work towards it. And just make sure that however you want to feel, like whatever the goal is, that there's no friction to it. If there's friction in it, it's like beating yourself up. There's no point in that, because every time you think of it, you're just going to be reaffirming how you can never have it and you don't deserve it, and it's pointless and you're a failure and whatever else. Whatever story that runs is just going to run again. So make sure that you remove all the friction to it. Bear it down to its barest essential and focus on that. Then when you create an action plan, do two things. Create a really practical action plan that makes a lot of sense and would make all the logical and rational, reasonable people happy in the world. Then create an action plan that's really just for you, that may not look like it has anything to do with your goal. Maybe part of one of the things that, so you want Oprah to call you because you want to feel legitimized. Really, we know that really what that means is you need to feel like what you're doing is worthwhile in the world. You need to be proud of yourself. You need to be able to pat yourself on the back. You need some self-care. So maybe one of the things that you put on your list is, I'm going to buy myself flowers every day, or I'm going to have fresh flowers on my office desk every day. I'm going to make sure that I have that. Or I'm going to make time to do my 30 minutes of yoga in the morning. Or I'm going to have a bubble bath once a week. Or whatever it looks like. And I know those are kind of silly things, but maybe something is, I'm going to sign up for this accounting course. Because I always felt like that was never something I could do. And I know I don't have to do it. I know I can hire a bookkeeper, but I want to be in charge of my own money. So I'm going to sign up for this class over here. Whatever it is. Write that, keep that list as well. And I think that both of those are really important, because you're honoring kind of both sides of the creative and non-creative.
Because I feel like so often, especially anyone who is passionate about their work, a lot of times we'll let ourselves kind of fall to the wayside. So what I'm kind of hearing is you're scheduling yourself into your to-do list or into your dream building structure.
Totally.
That's fantastic. So okay, now I know what my dream is now. I know how to get there, but now I'm taking actions, but now there's hurdles coming. Now there's this internal resistance and I'm getting scared. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about, you were talking about these typical hurdles that come up whenever you're working with your clients. what are those hurdles, and how do you help them kind of overcome them?
Oh, okay, yeah, cool, great question. So, so I think there's three things that you really need to do. And the first one is you need to find some support. You're going to need to find some ongoing support, whatever that looks like for you. And if you have a coach or business coach or web designer or something, that's one thing. But even if you have just people around you who you know you can kind of call on, and that you can say, hey, you know, I'm trying to get Oprah to call me, and this is really what I'm trying to accomplish. And just so that you can say, you know what, I'm scared. I feel really small today. I had this call with a client, or, you know, I screwed this thing up. I did this thing wrong. I ate the entire box of chocolate cookies, whatever. And you know what, I feel like a failure. And make sure that that's somebody who can really say, I get it, me too. You know, Brene Brown talks about this in all of her writing, Daring Greatly and The Power of Vulnerability, all that stuff.
Brene Brown.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing, you know. And the idea of having somebody around you who's not going to judge you and who can just show up and say, I see you, I hear you, and you matter. And whatever you're going through is totally legitimate and okay, and you're going to work through it. I mean, you know, and I get it. I've done it. I've been there, you know, even if they haven't been through the same thing. So that idea of support is pretty essential. And then the next thing I would say is you always want to come back to what you love. So that initial piece, what do you love most about what you do? What's your passion? What's the big deal? What do you really care about? Keep coming back to that. That's more important than anything else. And your soul knows that. Your heart knows that. That's more important than anything else. And it's louder than all the stories. All the stories that tell you you can't have it, you're not good enough, you're not going to get it done, you know, you suck, whatever. It's really louder, it's stronger, it's steadier than all of those voices. So if you keep coming back to that, sometimes that's enough. And then the third idea, this actually is an idea I got from Jen Loudon, who wrote the Comfort book, the Women's Comfort book. Yeah, she's wonderful. And it's the idea of resourcing, and it's the idea of just acknowledging all the things in your life that are working for you. Like gravity works. Gravity works. You know, the Wi-Fi, it's working. You know, lights are working, you know, and kind of seeing the wealth of stuff around you. There's books to read, there's trees to admire, there's stars in the sky, there's your cat around you or soft carpet under your feet. Whatever it is, it's looking around at whatever works. And it kind of takes the focus off the one thing that's terrifying you. And that's a good thing. So I would say that one of those three things, like I would call on one of those three to kind of get you through like the hurdles and humps and kind of the fear places.
So I know now that it's important to have a dream.
Yay!
So kind of finding out what your passions are, figuring out what that dream is so you know what direction that you're heading, and then coming up with an action plan to get there, but not leaving yourself out. Which is, I feel like, incredibly important. And knowing that resistance is something that you're going to run into, whether it's self-talk, which, I know you're going to have so much negative self-talk when you're on your way to your dream, because it's scary. You're doing something that is outside of that mold that we talked about. You're starting to break the mold a little bit, and that resistance is pushing back a little bit. So doing things like, you mentioned having the support base, having those people around you who are almost like your dream team, who are there for you, whether it's just to listen or whether it's to let you know that what you're doing is incredibly important and that you are incredibly important. That sounds so huge. Going back to your why, you know, not just what are you doing and how are you doing it, but why are you doing it? And let that be your gasoline to like get you going. Let that be your energy. And then using the present moment, using the calmness of right here, right now. I am safe. I am present. The air is coming in and out of my chest. My heart is beating. Letting that kind of center you.
And even I want to add something to that too, because the thing about being in the now, the thing that really matters to me, letting yourself be in the present, letting yourself feel like supported, and also, and this is the woo-woo part of my work.
Woo-woo's fine. It's okay. Woo-woo's welcome here.
Thank you. It's unusual for a tech person to be as woo-woo as I am, but I like it. I'm claiming it. You know, I'm stepping into it. But really letting yourself, I did. That's right. Letting yourself feel loved. Like the air that's coming in and out of your lungs wants you to thrive. That air coming in and out of your lungs is rooting for you. And the grass is delighting that it gets to tickle your feet, and that you know, the Wi-Fi is so happy that it's supporting you, that you're doing your work. Yeah, right, exactly. And so I love that idea, and for me, that sense of connection to everything around me and that sense of feeling loved was so important because people would say to me, well, just be in the now, and I'm like, what the hell do I want to be in the now for? What's so special about what's going on
Get
right
over
now?
there.
Right? I don't want to be here. That's the point. But like really letting myself feel loved, really letting myself receive. And that's a big thing we talk about. I talk about that a lot with my clients, that letting yourself receive love opens the door to letting yourself receive everything: money, abundance, peace, joy, all of it. But you just need to let yourself feel loved in the moment, and that's really what I try and get people to go for with that resourcing idea.
That's fantastic. I love that. So I want to thank you for allowing me to come and ask you all these questions. You've done a great job answering them, and I feel like I have learned so much. I know the people watching this have learned so much. I only have one more question.
Sure.
And I was curious about, what is your dream? Maybe from here, where do you want to go, or what is this big idea, whether it's your business or your personal life or anything that you would like to share?
Oh, okay. I love this idea. I was actually just talking about this last night, and I want everyone who has an idea for a business, even a glimmer, to be able to have space to start it.
I love that.
I want everybody to be able to do that. I want people to see how easy it is, and I want everyone to feel their own essentialness to the planet. And when you hang out a shingle, when you hand out a business card and you say, this is something that I do and I expect money in return for it, and you ask for that and you give yourself that, you feel the value of what you have to provide. You feel how amazing it is. And stuff starts to come out of the woodwork. People from all over, and these huge opportunities will start to come in. I want that for every person on the planet. I want that for everybody.
Fantastic. That's why I do what I do. I feel like sometimes we get tired or we get sick, and we have these things that hold us back from whatever our unique gift is.
Yes.
And there's something that you do that I can't do, and there's something that somebody watching this does, that nobody else in the whole world does. That's what we all do, something so uniquely ourselves. And when you don't feel good, or if you don't have the way to be seen, or the clearness of your vision, I feel like the world is missing something so important. And so
Totally.
Thank you for what you do. I feel like if all solopreneurs or all business people or all people in general could identify what their hopes and dreams were and believed in them and worked for them, this whole planet, can you imagine?
Oh my gosh, it would be amazing. It really would. And I want to say one more thing about that really quick, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
The idea that, it's so easy for us to discount our gifts because they come easily to us. So many people who I talk to, they're like, well, I'm not going to charge money for that, or I'm not going to open a business doing that because everybody can do that. And it's like, no, not everybody can. To be able to give that, to be able to offer it and get it out there in the world, like that's the huge piece, and it just honors it in yourself. You're just honoring who you are and what you have to give. I love that. I want that for everybody.
That's beautiful. All right, so Diane, how can people get a hold of you? How can they find out more information?
Wonderful, thank you. So they can certainly reach me at my website. My website is novel, like the book, novel, N-O-V-E-L, websitedesign.com, and all our contact information is on there, my email address, our phone number, and everything. So yeah, I'd love to hear from everybody.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah!
Nailed it.
Oh, good! That was good.
Awesome.
I talked to so many people. It's so typical. I talked to this one woman once, and she was a massage therapist, and I said, how do you do it? How do you like it? That's always what I ask. How do you like it? How do you love what you're doing? That's what I want to know. She goes, well, I love it, but I hate the business part. And I'm like, but the business is part of it. And money is just like squash and lampshades. And it's just money, and
you're fueling your dream. That's one thing I love. I had to think about money in a different way, because I think a lot of people, and I don't know if women more so, but I might venture to say women more so have this stigma around money that, wanting money is greedy, or it's selfish. But you have this unique dream, like you've talked about, and a dream requires energy. And sometimes, depending on what your dream is, that currency for the energy could be money.
yes.
For some people, if they want to run a marathon, maybe that energy comes in the form of food or something. But, when it comes into your business, money is that energy. It's what's going to get you taking those next action steps.
Totally.
It's what frees up the space for you to feel creative and to do whatever it is that you were designed to do, it's critical.
Totally. It's resources. It's resources that you're going to need to run the marathon, to have your business, to sleep so that you can do your business the next day.
It's not going to come out of thin air.
It doesn't come out of thin air. So I really wanted to talk about that. And as I was talking about it, I was nervous about it. I was like, no, don't talk about money. It's evil. People will hate it. But that's who I am. That's my dream. So
that's huge.
Yeah.
I feel like people need to hear that too. You know, like it's okay to make money doing what you love, because then you can do it more and you can help more people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So critical. It really is. It really is. So yay, thank you. Thank you for giving me platform to say all that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that is an important thing, to meet other people and see what they do, because what everyone does is so important. And I feel like what you do, even though like we don't have the same kind of clientele maybe, but I feel like my clientele could so benefit from your expertise. Like the stuff on Dream Talk, like I got off the phone the other day with, I was drilling this person on, I shouldn't say drilling, but anyway, I was, about like why do you want to do this? Like, if you want to lose weight just because they say on the news that you should lose weight, it's not a good reason. You know, if your goal is to lose weight, just to lose weight, not to do something like what you said, play with my kids, or I want to do this mountain biking thing or whatever, like, and everyone around you is not supporting you, you don't have that dream team, you're going to get, your pull of beliefs is going to pull you back to, I am now different than my tribe, and I no longer fit in.
Totally.
And you're gonna fail. You're gonna self-sabotage. I see it over and over and over again. But if you can connect it to a dream that is, and that pull of beliefs is pulling you forward, it's pulling you, to something that you feel passionate about, that you believe that this thing is really important. Like you can tell, like when you were describing, this is, my dream is for everybody who has a business idea to be seen, to get it out there, to make money for it. That way that they can help people, and those people can get better at what they do in whatever way. Like whether that's website design or making things on Etsy or like health coaching or making tea, like there's people who love and they need your unique gift, and they're just like waiting for someone to be more specific to their needs. Until then, they're relying on stuff that's not quite right.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
They're looking around and they can't find you because your stuff's not out there. So they're either settling for somebody that's not going to work as well for them as you would, because maybe they can't hear the voice quite as well or whatever, or they're settling for something that the process that's not going to work as well.
Right.
They need you to be out there with your voice and your unique way of doing things. And right now, they're settling for something else because you're not shining your light. So yeah, the whole world is going to work better, like on a global scale, when more people get their stuff out there.
Yeah, I love that. Like even to the point of like people talk about market saturation. Like I'm not the only health coach out there. Yeah. There's tons of health coaches, but someone who doesn't connect with me will connect with one of the other ones. I want them to find that person.
Yes.
If they don't connect with one of those other people, I want them to find me.
Yes.
Like there's different strokes for different folks, man.
Oh, it totally is. It totally. Kudos to you.
The whole time I was like, do you want to should I look this way or should I look this way?
Right. Can you see, is my hair, are we, yes.
At one point I was like, I think my hair's in my eye. Should I get it? I'm not gonna get it. I'm just gonna leave it. Okay.
Right. Is that a spit bubble? I don't know what's happening.
I should check for boogers. That's why I went to the bathroom when we first got here. Alright.
That's sexy.
Totally.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah. You're gonna work in here. It's alright.
I feel like that should be my tagline. Fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna try it.
Right. Totally.
We're just gonna go for it.
We're just gonna go for it. We're just gonna do it.
Because I know it'll be awesome when it's over, but it's like the steps of just doing it.
Yeah.
Even like when I was standing in, I was like, I think I'm just gonna get back in the car. I'm already 4 minutes late, so I'm gonna go a little
I'm just gonna call her and be like, yeah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Yep, I'm sweating, it's fine.
Yeah, right?
All right.
Yay, interviews. I can't do this. We'll just start over. I'm terrified.
Oh. I just blew it.
Oh.
Anyway. That's why I was like panicking. I was like, when.
Oh my gosh.
And
I speak in front of people all the time, but there's something about video that feels permanent.
And like, I don't know how long this thing will be. I'm just going to condense it to the material that makes both of us look the best in something that's like, oh, we both both rambled for a little bit. We're just gonna get rid of that.
We just talked about groceries and recipes and onions for a while, so we'll take that out. Okay, cool.
Yeah, nailed it. Boom,
At least I did
boom.
stuff.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try these.
I think I'm turned on. Oh no, I'm not. Holy cow.
Oh.
Well, that would have been terrible.
What?
Yeah, since 2006, that's what threw me. I'm like, I don't know that question. I haven't thought about that question.
What year? Memories.
Should I talk about what I was doing in 2006 or 2005? I'm very confused.
I might have an outtake video. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what my skills are with editing, but we'll see.